We are back for another Fallout Friday post, this time with the first model I'm working on from the Gunner's core box. That's their T45 power armor model. So to start off, we based in black, and then I just hit it with a rattle can of metallic silver. In this case, it was the plate mail color from Army Painter. So that gives us a good metallic base for the armor. We're going to go for a fairly heavy rusted look. So I'm using my Dirty Down Rust. So I'm going to shake that up. And we're just going to apply this really quickly because it does dry so fast. And what we're going to do is try wiping off some of it to make sure that we keep some of the metallic look. So we're just going to be really heavy with this on the armor. As you can see, we're already drying a lot here. So we're just going to try and wipe off some of this. So we got a good amount of rust buildup. Looking pretty good. So I'm just going to dry so fast, I want to make sure to constantly keep your brush wet so you don't dry any of the material in it. I'm going to go in and apply some more, just kind of where I don't want really bright metallics to be showing. I've actually been making a video about the picker-up truck that shows off this rust stuff even more. So I'm not going to go too heavily into detail on it, other than to say that it's practically magic. It dries within like 5 minutes, and as you can see, leaves a really good rust effect on everything. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to seal it because it is water soluble. I don't want it to get reactivated when I try and apply other paints. And then I'm going to take the head and apply a base coat around it so that we can start working on the flesh and the rest of it. And we'll go in and pick out the rest of the colors. Okay, so looking pretty good here. It's gone ahead and dried nicely. Rust effect looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and rebase the head separate. So I've gone ahead and masked it off a bit so I won't get any of the base paint onto the armor itself. So I'm just using Citadel Wraithbone base, as I'll be using my contrast flesh colors. And this tends to take the contrast pretty well. So let me just paint this over and go from there. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and work on some of the armor itself, the underpinning. So that's usually done in a khaki. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and this will be focused in at the joints of the armor. And remember that this is the power armor frame itself, not the power armor. So this tends to be more cloth and plastic as opposed to metal, so it doesn't pick up rust like the actual armor plates do. So, oop, that jumped right out. So like I said, we're going to focus on the gaps in the legs, the back of the knees, the tops of them, that sort of thing. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and do the piping that appears around it and a couple other spots in gray. So I'm just going to be highlighting that these are different materials. Alright, so we've picked out some of the materials there. The gray piping is good. We'll be applying some washes to kind of blend it a bit more once it dries. So while it's drying, we're going to go ahead and apply our Guilliman flesh. Because I want to have a pop of color on this, I'm going to go ahead and do his hair in Nazdreg yellow. So it's not quite as bright as a Yandin, but it should still give a nice blonde shock on it. Alright, now, to blend in the tan areas that we've worked in, we're going to hit it with some Nuln oil here, give it some shading. I mean, Agrax Earthshade. We're going to hit the gray with Nuln oil. Okay, so looking pretty good. I hit the weapons with Nuln oil as well, just to bring out the shades in that and kind of know which areas I want to hit with some color. We've got a plasma flame rifle as well as a ripper to modify. We're going to add a bit of color on the back for the fusion core, but we're going to let this dry first and then move on with the rest of it. Alright, so now that everything's dried and ready, I've also gone ahead and done a quick pick out of where I want some green glows to go. So this is on the plasma cells that litter the base along with the plasma rifle itself. So let's just go ahead and put some green on those. So yeah, that contrast warp lightning looks good for the plasma. Now we're also going to go ahead and apply some Tinny tin, which is like a dark brass, to the plasma weapon in a couple spots. So there's like a heat sink underneath, along with the barrel itself. Tends to be shown in that sort of color. Alright, so that's pretty much the plasma rifle done. Now, for the Ripper itself, the weird thing with the Ripper is it, you know, as a chainsaw, it uses gasoline, and the grip itself is the gas tank. So if you imagine you're literally using the gas tank powering this thing as your handhold while you're using it. And so we're going to do that in yellow. Gives a nice splash of color. And I'm just using the Nazdreg contrast again. And then we're going to use, this is Vallejo's Reflective Green. I first got it in a set for, it was like a British paint scheme. And I found that it's just a really good OD green. So we're going to do the front section of the Ripper with this. Alright, so the Ripper looks pretty good. I also went ahead and added some of that dark brass as well to the engine cowling. Now, for the back, we've also got a little dot of white that I did that's going to be our fusion core. So we're just going to dot that real quick. Looks like we need a little bit more. There we go. Alright, now, for the base, obviously we're going to leave the metallic on the ammunition cells, but we've got some rocks, so we're going to be doing that with our Skavenblight Dirge. We've also got this wooden box. Since we've kind of got the metallics on there and it's too dark, we can't go directly to the Gore, Grunta, Furr like we usually do. So what we're going to do is use this Vallejo Flat Earth. It's kind of just a medium brown. And we're going to go ahead and paint that. And then we'll do our Gore, Grunta, Furr that we usually do on wood over it. And of course, for the rest of it, since it is cracked earth, we're going to go with our Towel Light Ochre. So I'm going to go ahead and just do all of these real quick. While I'm doing the box, I'm going to make sure not to paint over the clasps and the hinges. I want to leave those as metallic. So I'm going to just get started in and see how this goes. Alright, so we have the base pretty much done. So our final piece will be to take our Agrax Earthshade and wash the base to really bring in all of those cracks and everything. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let the Agrax dry up. Then I'm going to bring the base, and I also hit the rocks with a quick dry brush of light gray, just to kind of make them pop a little bit more. And then we're going to seal and be done. We will of course be applying tufts because that's a nice big base with some nice open spots to apply in. But yeah, looking good. Okay, so we are done sealing, etc. As you can see, the model is all done. Really like how that ripper came out. Plasma rifle with the flamer barrel and all the ammo cells. So, for our final piece, we're going to go ahead and add some tufts. So I'm going to primarily, I think, just put one here and a small one back here. So, and I use these are my Army Painter Wasteland tufts. Just some don't miss any Fridays like we did. Also, I'll have a train video next week on the picker-up truck. As you can see, more dirty down rust. I'll go over it a bit more. I'll have a bit more color on this for the video. It's in progress. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to bringing you more content next week.